Welcome to this new series called Latest Insights. It's fun how I can get feedback from my clients sometimes and implement it right away. And that this also reminds me of the power of the relationships that we cultivate inside. I can just speak for my own courses and my own brand of like, I just love hearing feedback and I love hearing and then when it resonates inside of me, it's just so easy to create. And I teach a monthly class and it was inside Breathe Live, and then I decided to make the classes accessible so anyone can join, but you get it inside of Breathe Live every month. And I didn't know what to teach in the beginning of the summer, and one of the members was like, well, why don't you just like talk about you like what's going on? And I was like, yeah, there's a lot going on, so I just need a moment to just talk and catch up. And I know that by sharing my personal stories, it always supports the clients, it always supports the relationship, it supports the healing. We heal together, right? Like we heal in relationship, we heal through stories. And sometimes in my work, I don't have all the space, whether I've created it or it's just is this way, to share my story and to share kind of like what I'm going through. Because as a teacher, what I do is I integrate lessons in my own life, and then I share them when I have completed them. So it's not often that I share the process until I have gotten out of the process. And it's not often that I put, so much emphasis on, my personal thing. It's more like developed into a concept or a guidance that I put into a breath session, for example. So I was reminded one more time how the latest insight call was just so great before the summer. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just make it a monthly thing where we can connect, and then in the end we can also do like a Q&A, kind of like a sharing thing. If you want to go deeper into a topic, maybe ask me a question about something, but also connect and just be in this kind of co-creative space together. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Elisabeth Finocchiaro, and I'm a breath worker. Been working with breath for 8 years, really dedicated to the work and guiding the sessions. That's really my genius. I love to be in the space of guidance with music, words, and stories, but while guiding people in deep relaxation with breath patterns and, just connecting to the spirit of the breath. So much happens in the space of relaxation. And my style with breathwork has also softened throughout the years, going less and less into technique and more into being, into the presence, into we all have enough going on in our lives. I don't need to activate or overload my clients with new techniques. I'm just a space where they can relax. And I believe through relaxation, there's an opening that happens. And this is what people want. At least this is what I want. I want spaces where I can open safely. And more throughout my life, I just cultivate the space to safely open. And I don't know, I don't really want anything else. So that's what I want, but that's the essence of it. The safe opening. The safe opening to feel like I can express myself. The safe opening to feel that I can relate in a way that I want to relate. The safe opening just to feel like I can stretch, I can kind of move safely. And doing that little by little, sustainably, not, into huge catharsis or needing things to be so drastic. So we get out of the technique and we go into the being of the breath. So being with the inhale, relaxing the body, letting the exhale go, being with the inhale, feeling the inhale, and feeling what does the inhale meet inside of you. So when you inhale, I noticed now there was something in my throat that the inhale met, like this tension in my jaw. Then the inhale met something in my throat, and that activates a yawn. The yawn activates an opening in my chest. The chest activates this like stretch in my back, right? So by following the inhale, it becomes a teacher of noticing. Relaxing on the exhale. How much can you relax? Noticing tension maybe in your belly, in your legs. Just little by little, relaxing a little bit more. So feel the inhale. Don't do the inhale. There's not a technique here. It's a deeper noticing presence of the inhale. And like, how can I support my inhale? What can I give to my inhale? Space. Presence. What can I give the exhale? Trust. Trust to let go. And that's a journey that I do in my work, that we do together. So again, I'm so grateful that you're here and that we get to spend this time together. If you would like to just relax, close your eyes, and stay in a meditative state during this call, do that as long as you'd like. If you would like to just have me in your ears and you're just kind of like flowing, doing your thing, just show up the way you want to be in these calls. If you want to interact and, write stuff in the chat, do that. And just receive this in whatever way feels best for you. So for those who are a bit interactive, you don't have to be. What has been your latest insight? And if you don't want to go into the mind and you're like in a meditative state, stay there. You can share it later as well. But what's been something in your life that you feel like you've landed in a way, or there's been like a breakthrough, or there's just an insight? Feel free to share that. I would love to also hear your latest insights. We're also insightful. So again, I'm really grateful to have this space together. I'm going to be running these calls every month, so you can tune in, you can watch the replays if you're a part of if you registered, then you will get the replays and things like this, and you can join whenever you can make it live. So a couple years ago, I think constantly when you are someone, if you do it yourself, and when I am someone who shows up on social media and I share my insights, right? I share my ideas, I share my thoughts, I make videos, I do things like this. There's like, yeah, I see, Michael, I'll take it in a second. There's like these questions I need to ask myself. How much do I want to share about me and like my personal life? How much is actually needed? Like, do I need to tell everyone that I'm doing this thing? And is it relevant to my work? Is it relevant to them? Am I just adding more noise? Am I just wanting validation? There's just so many questions when it comes to sharing your life on social media, or the platforms that you share your work. And since, it's kind of an irony, in one sense, I'm quite public. I'm sharing my thoughts, that some thoughts are more vulnerable, but, sharing my intimate insights into my mind, into my heart, my passions. And then on another side, there's so much privacy. There's some people don't even know where I am or what I'm doing, or certain things about me, which I kind of like. I like this privacy. So how do we kind of dance? Because I also love connection. I love to share a bit. So that this is what these calls are all about. This is kind of like let's catch up type of vibe. And like I said earlier, as a teacher, I really feel there's a balance between sharing the unprocessed material and then waiting for it to land to be able to teach it. So that's kind of been my thing as a teacher. Showing up has been like I wait usually until I've landed it in my body so I can teach it. So, Michael, did you want to share something? And is it okay with the music? Do you guys like the soft music in the background? I think it's kind of vibey, but I can turn it off. Okay.
I'm not hearing too much music. Is it okay for me?
Okay, perfect. It's quite low, yeah.
Yeah. To me, it seems like things land in plateaus. So there's a theme of intentions. My life has been to be more in one. I have some challenges in life and I wonder why. I cannot understand. Okay, why cannot I understand? So I want to know more. I want to be. This led me on some paths, and yesterday I really landed this insight that was very beautiful for me when I just so clearly see I'm able to express myself with my emotions, and they kind of emphasize my spirit, my deepest core. Something is tension here when I think about this, so I share that with the person in a way that's not offensive, and it's kind of beautiful as I see it, and the response is okay, and this gives newer levels peace. Then it comes, wow, all this pain I went through, and to feel it was to heal a lot of stuff, and I could never appreciate all these small moments like I do now if I didn't feel that, if I didn't go through it. So everything was so perfect. And the depth of my presence and thankfulness for the moment now, and my connection to the Creator, this conversation with some force, wow, also gives me a very peace towards entering areas of life now that would be like the older version of me would be more strong and confrontative, make things change, or like be a force. Now I have so deep peace. Okay, even if I get cut and wounded or whatever what happens, then it's also a part of everything that I need to learn to. For example, my parents had this in their life, and now I get to experience in my life, in my take, so I can. So probably I judge these things, and now I get to experience it myself to expand my awareness and empathy. And that was my intentions, and they have been so strong with me. It's been given multiple fruits so much. So yesterday was really deep, like a shift. I experienced what I experienced to know, to feel more love, and to be grateful. And it was so deep with me that I was even like, how do people get grateful? It's like we don't just get that. Probably like I see my son when he eats something very pure from nature, he's so grateful, and like beautiful things makes him very grateful. So we were a little bit disturbed with those things, with growing up within industrial foods and whatever, survivalistic. So
Thank you for sharing this.
feels like there's a force also governing us parents, that we can meet the frequency that comes through our children also now, that we don't disturb them too much, that we actually can hold this type of love that they. So it's like in one way it's a constant, in some areas, challenge of innocence and pure, very transformative love. Wow, very pure love.
Thank you for sharing that. And I love so insight is like the moment of deep understanding, like something to be able to have the capacity to have a deeper understanding. So it's so great when these bigger concepts start to land in our lives. I'm like, oh, okay, we get it now. Or like, I understand why it's like that. Or there's an unfolding, or you're able to kind of hold it. You have the capacity to hold these bigger ideas that have been happening in your life or through generations, or the mystery of this world. And yeah, so I'm so happy for you that you're landing in that insight.
And one thing I observe is that immediately people will come to me in my field and ask for that, that I can give. So it's always like, I hear some nature people that are really like pagan and connected. They say that when you realize, when you are in nature, that nature don't care about you in a way. It goes on without. But your participating also means a lot. So this feeling of like connectedness, I'm not there yet, but there's a grain there. Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. When I was talking about like the teacher and how I share and how I teach, it's like the integrated student is the teacher. So when we are landing our insights, when we are landing our different things in our life, suddenly you become the teacher of that thing. And it is often that clients or certain situations will come where you can give an insight of this, or it becomes quite relative in your field as well. So the integrated integrated student is the teacher. The insightful student is the teacher. So this is great. Thank you. So one more thing about the work or the path that I've noticed is like, and it's about in my path as a breath worker, and then like my profession with like sharing and teaching and everything, I've really stuck to one path. Like being a breath worker for 8 years, being 30 years old, so I started very young, and I haven't really like done many other things. I've just stuck to this one path. Of course, many different things surfaces, and a lot of different connections to topics within breathwork, but I've really stayed with the breathwork path. And I remember my breathwork teacher told me when I was young, he said, one thing can bring you everything. And this really stuck with me. And I took it seriously because I stuck with breathwork when I could have kind of diverted and maybe tried another modality or get trained in another modality and do all these different things. But I said, that resonated deeply in my soul. And I said, I'm going to challenge that. I'm going to see if it's true. And I'm still challenging it, and I'm still seeing if it's true. Another disclaimer, everything I say today is my own insights, right? It's our own experience. So you also need to breathe and listen and feel of like, okay, that was an interesting story or interesting perspective, but I don't necessarily feel that, resonate with that, or not going to try that. We're all very different, and I think that's the beauty of this world. And there's so many ways of doing things, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about now, where it's like it's been a skill to stick with less things and going into them for me. But what I realize, it's all the same anyway. So you can, in my experience, try many different things, but you might be looking for the same thing in all the different things. All paths lead home, yeah. He said one thing can bring you everything. And in this case, we were talking about the breath, that the breath can bring you everything. So staying committed and staying devoted to one thing can bring you everything. And it doesn't have to be the breath, it can be anything. Because I'm seeing that it's all the same. And so what I've done is I've stayed with the path that I found and I resonated with and I fell in love with. And I really believe that it gives me everything. And I'm still committing to that belief or that path. And that I don't need all the different paths because they're all connected and communicating somehow. Like there's a language that they're all connected with. And by staying with my path, I'll be able to stay connected to the path and still be able to communicate with all the different paths. Because I feel like we have that power, that connection power. So that's something I wanted to talk about. Funny, the latest insight was kind of the opposite. Stop thinking that one thing did all the time gives me a lot of clarity on why it is that I do this one thing. Opposite concepts go together. Yeah, I mean, this is why I said, like, you don't have to agree with everything. These are my experiences, and I think it's amazing to have conversations where there's opposites or there's different reflections. So did you just write concepts twice? Probably opposite concepts go together. Yeah, okay. So my latest insight was kind of the opposite. Stopping that one thing I did all the time gives me a lot of clarity on why it is that I do this one thing. I didn't understand that like 100%. I feel it, but I didn't. Opposite concepts go together. Yeah. Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I think what I meant is that, or in my experience now of stopping this activity that I've been doing all the time, I learn so much about what I was doing, and I mean, in the non-doing, you learn a lot about the doing in a way. Yeah. So yeah, about the stopping, I guess this thing that you solidly believe in can be so giving, and to go back to it or not, but it gave me new insights on what I was doing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
For my experience. Yeah.
Thank you so much for speaking, because now I really got it. And
sorry.
And this is amazing because it can also be highlighting a fear. And that's why I said I'm still exploring this and believing this. But I realized and I recognized, and I was reflecting on this yesterday because I knew I wanted to talk about this. And I was thinking that I am gonna turn the music off so we can just be a bit more. And I was thinking, is there actually a fear here? Is there a fear that if I let go of the breath or breath work, for example, that this path, that's the thing I'm holding on to, and like, who am I without that? So I've also kind of felt into like, what if I let go of this path? Am I afraid of starting a new path? Am I afraid of changing? Am I afraid of letting go? Am I actually very attached to this belief? Am I attached to this concept? And I think that this is a very interesting conversation, and it can go quite deep into this one conversation, could take up the whole entire call we have together. But I will say that this is so important to reflect, and I feel this, let me take a moment to kind of breathe into this and see how I can It's also important, I think, in these paths to realize like what's the foundation of the path. So not just in my example with breath work, and I think I know your example, Tilly, but I'm not going to say it, but like these things that we do, but it's like underneath of it, the path, of the foundation of the path, and being able and willing for the things to change. The landscape will change on the path as we walk. There will be snow, there will be, you know, the different seasons, the different things that are going to surface on the path. But perhaps there's like the values or the similar things on the bottom. Or, I mean, we can go very deep into this. And now I notice it's starting a process in me. So here we are. Here's like the process part of these calls. But that, you know, maybe it's important to also challenge your own values and your own principles and not be so attached to them, because I've noticed in my life I'm very attached to my values, I'm very attached to my principles, because I feel it's important to have universal identities, as in love or trust, or have something to hold on to. But again, is that a fear of being in a relationship with nothingness? Like, do I have to hold on to this feeling of love or this feeling of trust in order to feel safe? Or does it have to be there? And then it has layers of manifesting into a practice or into something that I do. But am I willing? Could it be changed? Could I not have it? Could it? And I think this also affects how we make decisions as well. Like, for example, if I make a decision and I feel like it doesn't work, how fast can I change? How fast can I say like, oh, that didn't work, or that didn't feel right? And what's that process like? Because often there can be, yeah, this is so good. Yeah. Often there can be shame in that process I have with myself of like, oh, I said I was going to do this thing, but now it's not feeling right, so I'm going to change it. But I realize that change can take so long sometimes because of the attachment, because of this, oh, but I said I was going to make it work, and it's not feeling right anymore. I'm not making it work, so I'm going to pivot. And I also have a story, which I don't know if it's serving me or not. I feel like it has been serving me, of I don't like to pivot that much, because I feel like if I'm constantly pivoting, then where's my house? You know, if I'm constantly changing and things are constantly like pivoting in a big way, in a foundational way, I lose a sense of safety. And then the question is, you know, where am I putting my safety? Where are you putting your safety? So I hope this is resonating. I hope this is like going somewhere. So how attached are we to what we do? How attached are we to the principles and the values that we have? Pivot means to kind of change direction. Yeah, to change direction. And I don't like to change direction that much, because if I change direction too much, I feel like I just go in circles and I don't actually move forward. But that can also be a concept that I have made. And if it's serving me or not, I'm not too sure, but I feel like it's serving me. And at the same time, I can see how life could be a little bit more fluid if I was to let go a little bit more and allow maybe a little bit more fluidity. But then with this fluidity and movement, I feel also needs structure and being, this type of holding instead of moving. Thank you, Tilly, for bringing that, going a bit deeper and being willing to kind of be like, hey, no, that actually like, or you didn't say no, but you said you were feeling the opposite. Thank you. So another one that I want to bring up, insights lately, is, and some of you have heard this if you're inside Breathe Live or a client of mine, the idea of mastering something. I'm not really interested in mastering things anymore, and I'm going more and more away from techniques like I talked about in the beginning of the call. I'm not really falling in love with the idea of having to understand like a technical thing to fix something. There is this more experience that I'm interested in. So I'm not really interested in mastering, especially a breath technique as a breath worker, or mastering my breath. I'm more interested in experiencing my breath. And I feel like it's always been like this from the beginning, but it's becoming more and more and more obvious. And I remember when I was going to a festival last summer, two summers ago. And I was in a press release. So it's the first time being in a press release in another country. They were like, you're coming to this country and we're going to do a press release that you're going to be at this festival. And I was like, okay, because it was a breathing festival. And they wrote my biography, or not my biography, but they kind of wrote a paragraph and they said, the breathing expert from Norway is coming to this. And I was just like, and they sent it to me for feedback. And I was like, no, you have to take away that expert part. You can say I'm a breath worker from Norway, but I'm definitely not a breath expert from Norway. And I realize that I don't, as of right now and for the foreseeable future, I don't want the word expert near me. And again, is this because I'm afraid of like imposter syndrome, or afraid of like, am I doing this to protect myself? I don't know, maybe subconsciously, but consciously, it's just this idea of I'm a student of life and I've made lots of mistakes and I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm just kind of sharing my journey as I go, all the insights, all the teachings, and I'm not mastering a certain technique and I don't feel like I'm an expert. So that's also another insight that I know when I was sharing to some clients that it was resonating. So I just wondered if it resonated with you all as well. This idea of like not needing to master, not needing to be necessarily the best at something, but how deeply can you experience something? And I feel that has made me a better teacher, and that has made me more fulfilled in my life as well. The humbleness there is very pure. Yeah, it brings another depth, I feel. So another big one, so there's a couple, but I don't think I'm going to be able to go through all of them today. But another one that happened 2 days ago, you guys, this one is huge. And I think some might be able to kind of feel or resonate through this. But yesterday, 2 days ago, I finally landed in my body for the first time that I am okay with people not liking me. And being a people pleaser and all the different aspects that comes with, for lack of better words or term, people pleaser, I guess there's many different ways of explaining this, or many different ways of this manifesting. It's quite a huge huge thing that I'm basically going to celebrate, because this year 2023 I have been through a lot of different people's opinions about me coming my way, respectfully and disrespectfully. So respect is a very big value of mine. So as long as things are communicated with respect, like they don't want to harm the person or necessarily change the person, but they just want to share, like, hey, this is what I'm noticing, this is what I experienced. That's respectful for me, when you don't have to change somebody and you're not harming somebody. And I got a lot of feedback, respectful feedback, and I've had that throughout my whole career. Respect is a big thing that I have with my clients and people around me, but last year I also got a lot of disrespectful feedback. People that seemed like they didn't want good for me. People that seemed like they had ideas about me without coming to me and talking to me. And that was really hard for me to process, because I've never experienced this at a younger age either. I wasn't really bullied when I was younger. I was kind of friends with everyone in school and had like a really healthy social environment almost my whole life. I've had very healthy relationships with friends. And so I've always kind of had it good with the people around me, like mutual respect. I show up for you, you show up for me, had good friends. And then suddenly I'm experiencing that, okay, this is getting a bit out of my, but why aren't people coming to me? Why aren't people just asking me? If they would know, if they would get to know me, they would know that this and this and this, and they would like me, or I don't mean harm or whatever. If they just knew me, if they would just talk to me. And I realized that that's not possible for everyone. It's not accessible. It's not interested. Like, not everyone is interested with that. So the problem, or not the problem, but the process here has just been learning how to deal with the projections and the feedback from others, and how liberating this feels. And I feel like some people have it naturally, that they kind of at a young age had to put up this they had to learn, they had to go through it to be like, yeah, they don't like me, I don't like them, we move on with our lives. We don't make a big deal out of it, or we don't, we keep going. Whereas someone like me was like, I can't move on, I can't keep going, like this is the end of the world. It felt really difficult to go through. And being on the other side now, not mastering it, because I'm sure it's going to come up in different ways, and some days will be stronger, some days I won't be as strong, but it's an experience that I have now in my body that can never be taken. This feeling of I'm good with me, or this feeling of I am, there's like letting go. I'm letting go of the need to have everyone understand my side. I'm letting go of the need to be all these different people for different people. And that's an experience that can't be taken away. That's an experience that's mine. And trying to keep that as simple as possible is something as well, because I feel defending a personality is very exhausting. Defending a personality, defending my thoughts, defending my opinions, defending my words is quite exhausting. And it's hard. I'm reading a book right now by Carl Jung. It's his like Memories, Dreams, and Visions, or I think it's called. And he was saying how to analyze yourself is almost impossible in the deepest degree. It's so hard to understand you, to have other, and then let alone have other people understand you. The portrayal, the self-portrayal is very difficult. And that's what I've been feeling lately. I've been finding it very difficult to like organize all my opinions and my stances and my words and my things. And I'm just like, why am I wanting to defend these things? And as I let go of them, not needing to be right, not needing to defend things, not needing to, then I'm finding more peace within myself. Is this landing for you guys, or like, can you feel similarities or? Yeah.
To me, I'm just laying here and enjoying this talk, and my emotions can just run through your stuff and my own resonance with them. It's a very potentially draining and painful and very deep relief when we let go of that. Like, okay, this other person understands me through their lenses, and that's okay. Wow, it's so deep with me. How it felt like a self-value, a like stand up for myself. It's so important. Like, I love this person, but you have to get me right. Like, okay. And the relief of not having the need for that. Wow.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. Incredible, peaceful life.
Yeah. In a loving life, being able to love still in the presence of projection, that has been something that has been in my mind's eye for many years. I knew that this was where I wanted to be. I knew that I wanted to have peaceful relationships. I knew I don't want war. I don't like to fight. I know that this energy is not what I want to carry in my life, but I haven't been able to find the strength in that softness that I've been wanting. I haven't been able to find the strength in the vulnerability of the heart. Vulnerability means the possibility of being hurt. So if you are vulnerable and you want to be a vulnerable person, you want to be in the heart, for my process has been, well, I need to find the strength in that same energy that is open to being hurt. And that has taken time for me. It's been great concepts, and I've heard about it through so many different medias and different things in different ways. And it's like, now it's an experience that I have. And to be honest, you guys, it's like, it's such an amazing feeling. And I just received it recently. So it's still going to mature but I'm really, it's so incredible. And I know some of you, you're way past this. You've had to do it when you were younger, for example. But for some, I know that it's still a process, like it has been for me. I'm in my middle age, and this is still my story. I want to let go, but it's still big work. Yeah. So my process behind this, how I kind of got to this point, I'll just share like a little bit of the process that I went through. Is one was just like kind of feeling the feelings of like, wow, okay, I'm really hurt right now, or like I'm really feeling different feelings. I'm hurt, sad, frustrated, misunderstood, insecure, confused, all these different things, kind of noticing what I'm noticing. Also noticing the whole victim part in all of this. And in order to be a victim, there needs to be a perpetrator, right? There needs to be someone doing something wrong. You can't be a victim if there's no one doing something wrong. So you need to in order to take out the victim, you also need to take out the villain. So with all this victim work and all this victim type of stuff, it's like, I can take myself out of the victim, but then that means I have to put that person out of the villain. Now suddenly we're two people. We're not a victim, we're not a villain, because in order to be a victim, there needs to be a villain. Now we're two people experiencing different things around the similar topic or whatever. So that was one process for me, is like I had to keep doing it, like every day, take myself out of the victim, take the people out of the villain. I had to keep doing it, like energy work almost, just like take it out, take out this, this dynamic. And another part was the self-respect part. And Michael touched on this too. It's like this self-respect, this self-power of making sure, like for me, I had to know, what do I need? And for example, in one situation recently, I've just needed to be heard. And I didn't need to be understood. And I didn't need to be given so much, but I just needed to be heard, whether it was even by myself, but in the presence of the situation. So I needed to voice something. And when I did that, I felt the insight land the next day. So when it comes to, different things around you feeling like they're having, different stories or projections onto you or judgments onto you, I think for me, it's been feeling the emotions, taking the victim villain dynamic, as untangle that as much as possible, and then figuring out, what do I need to respect myself in this moment? Because almost every day that I didn't voice in that particular situation, one of them, I lost respect for myself. And losing respect for yourself, for me, is very hard to feel, because I feel like I disconnect from myself. So being able to voice brought respect for myself back in. Like, okay, I have this ability to, and without the fight, like the love, being able to voice, knowing that I could get hurt, but I'm going to, speak with love or whatever the values are. And being able to do that, whether it lands or not, made me feel such peace. And now I'm okay with whatever the situation is. But I know that I've kind of said my piece in a good way, in a way that I can stand by and look back and be like, I didn't harm anybody and I didn't want to change anybody. And then this peace comes with that. So yeah, Michael, do you want to share something? And then I want to go into if there's any questions people have as well before we end the call. You're muted.
Oh, I wasn't unmuted. Sorry. So isn't it a little bit classic that we go into this loop, that we see it after, and then we tend to backlog on the work? Life doesn't allow us to go too deep in it, and in the end, it's like unreachable. So what I found was this, it came to me a breath exercise called the breath of life, where they breathe some affirmations through and hold it some seconds and then release it through the crown and through the heart. So one of these were like, I honor myself, I respect myself, I value myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, my experience, this caused me to, like, when I love myself in that higher degrees and I were doing this type of work, then in the now, it's I'm more sensitive to it, to actually make the change. So it's a good tool. It's on the YouTube. The Breath of Life is this Smurfy guy, the spirit science, basic,
Nice.
cool exercise, good practice.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And it is about, like, can we do this more in the moment, and kind of collapse the time between, like, the suffering in between. And some things are accessible and some things are not accessible, and then we can always, bring in different practices that can help the accessibility, right? Doing the practices and trying to stay as aware, as conscious as possible in these oftentimes subconscious immersions, like, the subconscious different processes come up, and those are usually the most confusing and the healing journeys that we often talk about. So I would love to open up if there's any questions or deeper deepenings of anything that we've talked about today. And I want to share also about a little bit what's going on, with the courses and the things that you can join, if that would be something you would like to do. Feel free to share in the chat, and what is something that, if there's a question or anything that I can support with, I would love to do that. So I can share one more thing about like what's been going on lately. And it's this having time for myself. And I know this is a common theme within empaths, healers, people that work with people, sensitivity. I have lived alone for many years. I've lived alone basically all of my 20s and for like 10 years basically, and traveled a lot. So it's like I'm very social, and my work is very social, talking to so many people every day. But living alone has been definitely something that I've very used to. And this fall, I moved into my partner's family home together with some of his family. And it has been challenging in many different ways. And I'm realizing, this, what I was talking about earlier, of not being able to totally self-portray myself, to totally understand my personality, is very exhausting for me. And personality in general is quite exhausting for me, even though it's what makes everyone different and unique and quirky. And, the art in the personality is just incredible. I love it. And at the same time, I think it can be a slippery slope, like attaching to a personality. And yeah, I think it's very interesting. I'm going through a process now of really unattaching from my personality. Don't know if it's serving me or not. I don't know if it's a dissociation thing or not, but it feels like I'm here, I'm present. I was playing cards with my dad. So I saw my dad recently, and I don't see him so often because he lives in the US. And we were playing cards, the Sicilian card game, and I'm really good at it. I'm really good at this card game. It's like my favorite card game. It's called Scopa. And I'm winning all the time. Like no one can beat me. And my dad's really good at it. He's the one who taught me, and I'm starting to beat him now. And we're around the table, and apparently I was being annoying. Like no one wanted to play with me anymore because I kept winning. And I was also having this funny personality, like saying funny things and kind of making fun and guessing what card they had. And I was often right. And I was like, okay. And then they kept saying like they didn't want to play with me anymore, and in a funny way. And then suddenly I'm like, but this is the opposite of the intention. Like I want to play with you guys. I'm having so much fun. I didn't mean to be annoying. I didn't want to be like this like what you're portraying me as, this person who's annoying. But I'm like, I don't want to be annoying. Should I stop? Should I just, let's play. I want to play. And they were just like, yeah, but you're this and this, in a funny way, making fun of me. And I was just like noticing in that moment that that's not me. Like, I know I'm being this certain way and I'm saying certain things, but like, if that's the result it's getting me, then I'm this is backfiring. Later, I did realize different things about that specific situation, that they also didn't like that I was winning so much. So it was triggering their insecurities of playing with me because they wanted to win, but they couldn't. And so I'm just having this experience recently with my personality where I'm just like, and living and being around people, suddenly you're getting all this feedback about your personality. And if I'm getting less and less attached to my personality, but people are giving me feedback about it all the time because I'm living with people, being around people. I've been around people a lot lately. My family has visited a lot. My partner's family has visited. Like we've just been, then I traveled to be with my dad, and it's just been like a lot of family lately. And for someone who used to live alone and got the insights and my spiritual development quite alone in a cabin in nature, meditating, just kind of in my own flow. And suddenly I'm around all these people who are giving me feedback. And I'm like, one part of it, it's great. Like we need to learn and we grow in community, we grow with each other. But another part of me is like, I need alone time and I need to go back into like silence of nature so that I can, find my center. So that's something that I've been going through lately. Do you think breathing exercises can be a way to introduce breath work to those who are unexperienced? So breathing exercises are I mean, this is a question that can be answered in many different ways. Of course, I think if you started with, breath awareness is the number one thing you can start with. If you're unexperienced with breath work, just start noticing your breath. Just start noticing the inhale and the exhale throughout your day. Becoming more aware of your breath is a great way to introduce into breath work. But of course, breath work, if I think you're saying, these deep sessions, they can hold a lot of different experiences within one session. So you can touch on, mental states, emotional states, physical states that can sometimes be a bit more intense. So having different experiences through meditation, mindfulness, inquiry work, everything will support you. And if you're unexperienced within breath work, and then at the same time, like if you've done any therapy work or anything like this can definitely help you be introduced into breath work. And at the same time, I think sometimes the best thing is to find the right breath worker and ease into it and just start the sessions and experience it and let it be. You don't need to prepare through different practices to go into breath work, but it is quite a full experience that can bring up many different things. So often I tell my clients, make sure you have other support like psychotherapy or body work to support the breathwork process as well, because it is a very big healing modality that can bring up a lot of things. So people who are more resourced in mindfulness, meditation, therapy, they tend to be able to hold themselves more in a breathwork session than people who are completely new. So definitely doing other exercises, breath awareness, simple breath breathing meditations, things like this can help. But if you find the right breath worker, like for example, my style is very soft. So a lot of people come with no experience with me and we're able to just start the journey. And one session at a time, you keep learning and you learn quite quickly. Gaining more clarity through meditation and breathwork and such, I wonder, can trigger people when they feel love and aren't used to it. Yeah, exactly. It touches and points at their own suffering. Yeah, it's like the classic relationship thing. When, for example, there was some time where I was attracting unavailable men, and then suddenly I attract an available man and I just want to push him away. the classic story. And then it's only until I am able to feel that safe in availability, am I able to take it in. But before, it was just showing my suffering. It was just showing my insecurities. Hard to say as I did so much breathwork now, but I got really good feedbacks when I introduced this one to beginners. Yeah, the breath of life. Yeah, great. Thank you. Great. So some of you may know, some of you might not know, but I have such a great container, great community for breathwork for your personal life. And it's the Breathe Live membership. This place I've been running for almost 4 years, 3.5 years. I guide a session every other week. And once a month, there's a masterclass. So for 1 hour, I teach on a topic, which often I ask the community, like, what do you want me to talk about? And they'll tell me some things and I'll pick one of them. So in the community, they influence what I teach as well, which is really fun. Part of being in the community, you kind of get to influence the calls. And I make a meditation a month as well. So it's a really great place if you know that you want your personal practice to deepen, you want the community, you want other like-minded people, and you want to deepen the work. So really show up for yourself every other week for a breath session, and the replays are available for you as well. So if you don't catch the live one, I get the replay up usually within hours, like right after the session. And then you can do it in your own time. You can download the sessions. So it's just such an incredible place. I love Breathe Live so much. Like, it is such an important part of my brand. And to see the people inside that have been there for, 1 year, 2 years, there's even been people in there for 3 years. It's just an incredible space. So if you want more information about that, you can reach out. And also starting next week, I am hosting my annual online training program. So if you're thinking about adding breath work, like you want to teach breath work, maybe you are a body worker, a therapist, a coach, and you want to bring breath work into your already existing work, your offers, then this can be an amazing training for you as well. I'm going to teach is 4 months, and you get all the information, all of my trainings on how to guide sessions in a safe way. You also get my online like branding course, like how to brand your business and market and organize all your things. And you get Breathe Live also for 1 year inside of that. And yeah, it's an amazing opportunity if you want to teach breathwork. I would love to be your teacher. If you feel the resonance, if you feel like my vibe is your vibe, then we'll work really well together. So reach out with any information about Breathe Live or the training. I would love to answer, questions if there's anything you're wondering. And thank you for being on this call. I guess every single latest insights will be very different because I'll be talking about the latest insights, and we can deepen and, go into the different topics. I really love what we talked about earlier about the paths, and I just hope this served you. So thank you so much for being here. The replay will be sent out if you want to re-listen to anything. And again, just reach out if there's any questions about any of my courses and my programs, or working one-on-one together as well. That can be a good way for beginners as well to work one-on-one with me, so you have more of my attention and we can kind of personalize your own process of what you're going through. So thank you so much for showing up. Hope to see you guys next month on the same latest insights where we can share and then connect. And I hope you have a beautiful day, and see you where we are connected. Bye, everyone.